Creative Commons describes both a global movement and a network of organizations, whose focus is the drafting and promotion of various licenses that can be applied to copyright materials. These licenses are intended to facilitate open access to copyright materials both online and offline, while allowing the copyright owner to expressly reserve some rights. This global movement emerged as a rebellious copyleft free software movement in the 1980s, a direct response to the shortcomings of copyright laws and licensing practices in the dynamic, interactive, and distributed internet environment. Copyleft is a general method for making a program or other work free, and requiring all modified and extended versions of the program to be free as well. Inspired by the success of open source software, Creative Commons extended this concept to the domain of art, photography, literature, and music. It is strongly advised against using Creative Commons to license software. Instead, it is recommended to opt for licenses that are readily available through organizations such as the Free Software Foundation and the Open Source Initiative. Using Creative Commons licenses can be an effective way of encouraging norms of sharing and reuse within an online community. Potential licensors should note that all CC licenses are perpetual and are only terminated where there is a breach by the licensee. The copyright is not properly given up or left to the public, but the creator authorizes a broader right to use of their work rather than what is traditionally granted under copyright law. There are 4 core licensing terms which allow creators to mix and match restrictions that apply to their works. These common features serve as the baseline, on top of which licensors can grant additional permissions when deciding how they want their work to be used. With attribution, you must give appropriate credit by providing a link to the license and indicating if any changes were made. With no derivatives, licensees can copy, display, distribute, and perform only verbatim copies of the work. They may not adapt or change the work in any way. With non-commercial, licensees can copy, distribute, display, and perform the work and make derivatives works as long as it is not for commercial purposes. With share-alike, it imposes a copyleft requirement that the derivative works are released under the same license. Some creators allow a very broad use of their work, whereas some wish to impose restrictions on how their work can be used. Creative Commons believes that all levels of openness are worth encouraging and supporting as an alternative to all rights reserved. There are 4 necessary characteristics of a free cultural work: freedom to use the work itself, freedom to use the information in the work for any purpose, freedom to share copies of the work for any purpose, and freedom to make and share remixes and any other derivatives for any purpose. Creative Commons exists not just to create copyright licenses, but also to encourage the creation of a thriving commons through sharing knowledge. In many contexts, this is best accomplished by using one of the free licenses, attribution and attribution share-alike licenses, which place minimal restrictions on reuse. Attribution share-alike doesn't place any restrictions on the type of use. The only difference from the attribution license is that it requires works that build upon it to be released freely. Since one of the freedom requirements is that a free cultural work must not restrict any particular kind of use, even commercial use, the non-commercial licenses are not considered free cultural licenses. The no derivative licenses prevents others from remixing and building upon your work. This violates the 4th freedom requirement, as such are not considered free cultural licenses. These 4 licenses are not as recommended compared with the first 2, as they restrict some type of users entirely, regardless of whether those users will contribute their work back to the commons. There are tools that enable easy online searching of a material shared under a Creative Commons license. This is search against the metadata embedded in the online work shared using a CC license. For example, to find an image of a car that has an attribution license, you could use search.creativecommons.org, or in Google, use the search tool function to find images that are licensed under that term.